Hey, I'm Christian and welcome back to PN Wreckage. Today we're going to talk about the rear shock upgrade that I just made, the Bilstein 5100 series shocks. If you are a subscriber or a viewer who has seen the video about the Bilstein lift kit, then you'll know that I used Bilstein series 5160 external reservoir shocks along with the Bilstein 2.3 inch coils to level the truck out, and big fan of those shocks. I think they really provide a very compliant ride on a variety of surfaces, and it really kind of bummed me out that I couldn't find a matching set for the rear because Bilstein does not create or does not currently make a matching rear set. So after doing some research, I know that the general opinion is that it's okay to mix brands of shocks, and I didn't want to do that, and part of that is because I don't like the way it really looks when you have two different things front and rear. And so I got rid of my 4600 series that I had remaining in the rear, which have a blue dust cover, in favor of the 5100s, rather than going with like a Fox shock or really any of the, like a Rancho adjustable or any of the other ones that are out there, because I do like the idea of having just a complementary, in complementary with an E, setup between front and rear. It seems a bit cleaner to me, and I just feel a little bit more comfortable with it. So I found Bilstein 5100 series shocks for the rear for sale for I believe it was $80 a piece shipped, and pulled the trigger on those. I installed them 2 days ago, so I've had 2 days of driving to develop an opinion about them, and I developed that opinion immediately following having this exact same suspension setup, but with the Bilstein 4600 series that came with this truck on the rear. So here's my opinion. A lot of what I read was that the primary difference between these was, between the 4600 series and the 5100 series, was that it was designed for a lifted truck. So 0 to 1 inches of lift, whereas the 4600 series can only be used with a stock height truck. And after doing some research on that, it's like, well, I really hope that's not the case, because I do want to have them front and rear, and it's a more expensive shock. I'm assuming it's going to be superior in some way. Maybe not as good as the 5160s because it doesn't have the external reservoir, but better nonetheless. They are way better. I immediately took off into the hills outside of where I live with my cousin, who, his name is Cole. Thank you, Cole, for helping me install these, for dealing with pissed off Christian when I couldn't get the top nut to snug down because it kept spinning the shaft and the shock, which I'll get to that in a minute. So Cole and I installed these in my driveway, and the first one probably took an hour and a half. The second one probably took 20 minutes. So it's funny how that goes, but just make sure you realize that there's an Allen head pattern at the top of the shock tower, and so if you, like when you're tightening the shock tower nut down to secure it in place, make sure you have an Allen wrench in there so you can keep it from spinning and actually snug the nut up. Don't like clamp anything onto the shaft of the shock. Don't do anything that's going to damage or ding the longevity of the shock. So once we got all that on, we went up into the hills, went into some pretty remote areas of just really gnarly road, and tried to kind of get an idea of what it feels like comparatively in a variety of off-road settings, whether it's actually like in 4 low, going like crawling over rocks, on super bumpy gravel roads, and on better manicured gravel roads, just doing a little bit of speed, up to 45 miles per hour on gravel road. And it was instantly noticeable by both of us how superior the rear shocks, even just replacing the rears, but how superior that was to the 4600 series that came on this truck with the 4x4 off-road package. And I am a big fan of those shocks as well. I just like these better. So today I ended up having to go on about a 120-mile one-way trip, and I'm currently on the second stretch of that on my way home. And it's interesting because the highway ride is also significantly better, and I didn't know that it would be able to do both of those things like the 4600 series did over the stock shocks. It did. It's less rattly in the back, it's less jarring. I have a completely empty bed right now. I haven't towed with these yet, but I don't see how that would be how that wouldn't be superior just based on this. Oh, yesterday or day before yesterday when we got these installed and I ran the hell out of them, I at one point got out of the truck and I put my hand around the shock and the shocks in the front to feel the dual reservoir, or the external reservoir 5160s temperature versus the 5100s in the rear. And the temperature was very comparable. The external reservoir was significantly cooler, but the actual monotube shock and plunger itself, very comparable temperature. And it was a very hot temperature. So I mean, I didn't necessarily beat on it, but I definitely got it going fast enough and for long enough and over rough enough terrain to really give the shocks a workout. And it was hot enough that I couldn't keep my hand on the shock. It was that hot, it was going to burn me. So that kind of freaked me out, but then I realized there was no sign of fade. You know, there was no consequence really of having this. Oh, hello, little police officer. You are very sneaky. There was no real consequence for having these shocks that hot, and that really surprised me because I have seen that level of fade occur when shocks start to warm up, and these did not do that. So if you have a Ram 2500 and you really like the Bilstein 5160s for the front, and you're bummed like me that you can't get a matching set for the rear, I have no complaints about these. Way better off-road, way better on-road. I'm currently running 70 PSI all the way around in my tires. It just happens to, that's how it fell. It wasn't intentional. And it's really nice. I'm not going to say it rides like a half ton does, but it definitely rides way better than it did with just the 4600 series on the back. Oh. That is my evaluation of the 5100s, and for those of you who are still watching, I now have a full set of Bilstein 4600 series shocks for the Ram 2500. They're lightly used. They have 10,000 miles on them, give or take, 10 or 11,000, and I wanted to gauge the interest in whether or not any of you would be interested in having that as a giveaway. And I know it's kind of weird because it's a used part, but the only reason I traded out those shocks was because these were able to be used with the leveling kit, or at least the front ones were, and I wanted a matching set for the rear. So I have an immaculate set of Bilstein 4600s that came with this truck from the factory, and I would like to do a giveaway for those. So reach out, let me know how you feel about that, if that's something you would be interested in. Be brutally honest. I mean, if you think it's stupid I'm giving away a used part, I'd love to hear it. But hopefully the first of many giveaways, and a nice set of shocks for somebody who'd be interested. So leave me a comment, let me know if you are interested. I'll see if what I can figure out about sort of how to find the best way to. Oh, that guy's looking like he's about to jump off the bridge. That's two overpasses in a row. I've had like a half naked dude sitting over the edge, and maybe this is like a glitch in the Matrix. Not sure, but I'm not entirely certain what's going on today in Oregon, but it's 90 degrees outside, so maybe that's part of it. Anyway, I'll figure out a way to have sort of like a competition or some sort of a fair way to determine who gets those, and I'll ship them to you, my cost, and I'll even sign them for you. Anyway, let me know. Thank you guys for watching again. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email or leave it in the comments section. PN Wreckage is my email account, and you can also follow me on Instagram at PN Wreckage. Have a good one, and I will see you on the next video.